You're not lazy, you're not broken, you're not failing at life, you're just burnt out from chasing things that are simply just not meant to be forced. For so long, I thought working hard was the answer, trying to control every single outcome when it comes to health, chasing a body type desperately, my career, and even my period of all things. I'll get into it. And the harder I pushed, the further things have gone away, and even things like money as well. Whenever you get into that state of desperation, stress, feeling like you need this thing, otherwise you simply just can't get by without that thing. And in that, I managed to lose my health, lose my intuition, and just that inner voice that is always there. It became really hard to even hear what that was, all because I was gripping far too tightly. And I've seen this time and time again. And how often is it that we chase after something and it feels like it just repels further and further away, and how annoying it is. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's just easy to totally let go, but I feel like once you have the same patterns come up again and again, time and time again, you're just like, okay, I'm seeing a common thread here, a common pattern. And you see it in religions as well. But the truth is, what you want and what you're asking for is already on its way. It's already yours. It's simply just waiting for you to slow down enough to trust and to learn to trust for you to be able to receive it. Now, I can't believe how many times this has come up, in life, and this year I've learned it in different ways. Like, I feel like situations end up mirroring what you need to learn. So I've had it before with feeling really frustrated, stuck, stagnant, like I'm not getting anywhere in my career, or I could be doing the exact same things, say career-wise, that I was doing a year ago. If not, I've improved, but things are deteriorating. I've seen that so many times and been so confused. I've sat back and right, okay, this just means that I need to work harder. So put in more time, pour more of myself, do more, try harder. And again, I've seen the same outcome of doing those things, and then it's like I'm repelling and trying too hard. You might also be feeling like you're doing all the right things, especially when it comes to, say, your nutrition or fitness. You can feel like you're ticking every single box, but still feeling stuck, and then just losing faith and losing trust that anything will ever change or shift. And it's such a horrible feeling when you're at that point of why is this not working? It usually comes down to the illusion of control. So sometimes we can think we have full control of a situation, and because we're in control, we classify that as safety. And usually the things that we try to control are, or can be, people around us. So it could be your relationship with your partner, it could be friends, family, and these are such illusions. We don't control anything outside of ourselves, and I think it is such a recipe for disaster if we're attaching onto things like a job, a career, a status, because these things can go. And I think usually the more we attach to something, the quicker it is to leave, and anything that has you abandoning your needs, that could be in work, in your home life, in your relationship, where you are putting something else or someone else above your own needs, is the minute you lose yourself, you start to affect your own confidence, and also you start attaching onto things that are no longer healthy or serving you. And I think when you're at that point, that's when you start noticing all the patterns of things feeling like they're crashing down in front of you, and that you're repelling opportunities, you're deteriorating as a person, you're not feeling as good as you once felt. And I've learned this in so many different aspects, in work a lot and continually in different ways, and also with my health for the first time over the past year. So I lost my period for an entire year, which is something I've never had before, and that has humbled me. It's dragged me to the ground. It's made me face really dark thoughts, really deep childhood wounds, I would say, around this, because I was trying to control my body and monitor it and treat it like a machine rather than treat it like a feminine, amazing thing that it is. I feel like I refused to slow down, and I'd stopped listening to my intuition. I'd stopped listening to the little whispers that were literally screaming at me, and I found that so hard until my body literally forced me to stop, because that's what happens with your health. And when you ignore certain things, there's always going to be a consequence or outcome. I thought, okay, once I've committed to, say, getting my period back, I made the necessary changes 6 or 7 months in, and it still took another 6 months to get my period back. And And in that process, I chased getting back healthy. So I was doing like regular blood work every month, ticking every single box, and then adding more stress and frustration because I was like, I'm ticking every single box, but I'm still not getting the outcome that I want. Now, I'm sure you can use this with another scenario in your life. It's like when you're chasing, say, someone that you really like, you can end up repelling them because you're coming on and attaching to them. And I think when we have an unhealthy attachment to anything, like it could literally be something to do with your health, something to do with a person, with a friend, you start putting your happiness dependent on whether this person accepts you or likes you. And I think the minute that that happens is when you lose someone or lose a part of yourself, lose a job, lose an opportunity, because you're putting it higher than yourself. And that is an energy that everyone can feel, that you feel as well. Like it's never really coming from a higher place because you start abandoning yourself, you start making the wrong decisions. Like me with my trying to get my hormones in check, I was still following up with actions that weren't in alignment with getting my hormones back in check, as in over exercising. And it shows up in so many different ways. Like a lot of our under eating or overeating comes back to control and attachment to the wrong sort of areas, and then it shows up in our physical body. So I had a big realization this year. I'd say this is one of my biggest lessons of 2025, which was a turning point. I feel like I met this turning point before in work. This year was mainly around my health and saying that, you know, it's fine to say on paper, like maybe you want to achieve certain thing, or for something that I always said was I value my health, but to what extent the universe or whatever tested me this year with, is that thought actually something that I really value, and was something that I feel like I got a little bit wrong, and I ended up going down a bit of a misaligned path that took me exactly where I needed to be at that time. I finally got to a point where I realised what I wanted wasn't actually what I wanted. So say if you're someone who you have goals or you've done a vision board, but you're finding it really hard to get up in the morning, or that your actions don't really align with the goals that you set out. Say if you want to be really physically fit, but you're still eating takeaways 4 to 5 times a week and eating things you know that don't make you feel that good. It could be that you're not bothered about being in the best shape of your life, but you want to be in a healthy, fit body, and you don't want to carry too much excess weight so that you feel better. But sometimes we overshoot for things and overthink goals that we don't actually want for ourselves, and it's always worth taking a bit of time to figure out, right, what is it that I'm actually trying to aim at with a target, and making sure that is actually in alignment and it's your personal goal rather than for anyone else. And no one else has to understand what you want. Like everyone has different visions and we all have different things. This year, that's something that I've really thought about. We don't all want the same things, and it'd be boring if we did, but you have your dream planted in your heart for a reason. I have mine, and it is going to be totally different, and you should always honor what it is that you want, because that is so unique to you. But you don't need to project onto other people that they don't want the same things as me, so that is not the right fit. Like there's so many crossovers with timing this year. I've had quite a lot of serendipities that it's not even a serendipity, it's literally just when the timing is right, where I've met people. For example, I met a business coach. So at the beginning of the year, I set my goals. One of my goals this year was to work with a business coach. Now, I didn't find the time to go and search out for one, but I just trusted this year. There was a lot of things that I knew was going to happen. You know, when you just have an inner knowing that I would meet someone, or it would come at the right time. And I feel like with past businesses that I've tried, so I had another fitness app before, and from the jump, that always felt so out of alignment, like my first ever fitness app, and who I worked with just always felt really hard, like things just felt too difficult, and I didn't enjoy that process. But on paper, that was what I wanted, if that makes sense. So it didn't flow, and I never trusted my voice back then. Whereas this year, I can't tell you, I ended up creating the Flowness Club, hence the name, which is about the flow state and how things aren't supposed to be easy, but things are not supposed to be super forced. And you see it time and time again with when you stop chasing things and thinking that you need something external to feel okay. For example, I always notice that things start then chasing you. I ended up meeting the right person. Of course, you need to be taking the right actions in a similar direction. Like I met my current business coach through a mutual, and it was a recommendation, and then the timing has just been like crazily right, and it's felt like it's just flowed, and the outcome of that is always so much better. Like how many times have you chased something that felt a little bit sticky, and it might have worked for a little bit of time, but then the outcome of that was never great, if you know what I mean. If it's someone that you've met and you're like, oh, I had a weird gut feeling, I didn't listen to it, I went down that road and I got burnt. And I think this is such a good lesson to take through your life where just you trust your inner voice and those signs. Like we've had experiences in life, you've met enough people to know these things. It's just about actually trusting yourself and trusting the timing of things and not feeling like you need to rush. I could have written down my goals, say, and sometimes if I've gone too full send and I'm trying to tick off like 10 things at once, that's not happened. Whereas the amount of times that I've written down a goal, whether it be a marathon or a bodybuilding competition, and then things have kind of come into alignment or I've had opportunities come up because I've just focused on like the day-to-day, the small little tasks. Next one is what changed internally, which was all about the shift. And I literally remember this was in one day where I just thought, where am I rushing to? I want to use the analogy of when you get in an elevator lift. So, you know, when you're tapping away, you're clicking the doors to shut quicker. And in your head, you're like, oh no, the doors they come together, they close quicker. Those doors shut at the exact same time if you'd have pressed it once. There is no speed difference because that lift is programmed to shut at a certain speed, but in your head you can create something where you think that lift closes quicker. And I feel like this is such a good analogy for life and knowing to trust yourself, to trust you are going to achieve whatever is in your mind, you just will. And to trust that knowing, look at your track record, like have things on paper, look what you've achieved, what you 5 years ago you would have dreamt, and you'd have been so grateful to be exactly where you are today, even if you feel like you've not even scratched the surface yet. Taking a step back, realizing what you've already achieved, the people you've met, the serendipities all around you just this week alone, never mind in the past 6 months, and taking that trust and pouring it back into yourself, like not coming from a fear mindset. So I think a lot of our self-doubts and internal punishment comes from a lot of fear, and this is something that's ongoing and I struggle with a lot. But what has helped me the absolute most is, so whenever I've made big life decisions, I've made a lot this year, I was in fear of making the right decision or choosing the wrong decision and not even willing to open the door, but then feeling so capped and like I couldn't expand and I was just stuck, stagnant. But it was all coming from fear of feeling like if I don't have X, or if I'm not in this certain scenario, I'm not going to be okay, and how lost I was like within myself to be even in that mindset of thinking from fear, okay, if I stay like this for an extended period of time, like what is the outcome of that going to be? And that was just way worse than just taking a risk, making a decision and following through with it. With the shift, it's about making decisions and also relaxing on that decision. So knowing that you have set an intention, you want to achieve, say, a fitness goal, you want to achieve a certain amount of money, making that decision and then relaxing rather than thinking, oh my God, like fear, if I don't achieve that, this is going to happen. Like, you know, just thinking of the worst case scenario. What about thinking about, I want to move here, I want to change my job, I want to change my relationship, making that decision and trusting and seeing the difference rather than thinking about it and then thinking of all the fears of like, oh, if I don't find the love of my life this year, it means I'm never going to have children, or it means I'm not going to get engaged. Like, you can see the difference immediately. And what happens a lot is if you've been in the state of fear, making a lot of fear-based decisions, there's a lot of self-regulation that you can do. So this is something that I do a lot and day to day, especially if you're going through it at the minute. If you're in a state of life where you may have made some big decisions, have a notepad with you at all times. Just get out the thoughts. Like, sometimes you can be in your head, you can be spiraling and you can be really struggling to regulate yourself, or finding that you're having to call family and friends up like 24/7. Try self-regulate. So what I mean by this is literally having a pen and paper, writing out what is the thought that I'm having right now. So say if you are in a lot of change, this is what I do. I write down like, what is the fear that's coming up? And there's so much power in that, because first of all, it's actually quite hard because you've got so many thoughts floating around your head. When you write down that fear, you realize it's not even logical. It doesn't even make sense. There is no logic behind it, but that's what's floating around your head and keeping you stagnant and stuck and feeling low vibration. And everything is energy. People can feel your energy. You can feel when someone's not the right energy, and you want to keep your frequency on a positive, strong, uplifted vibe, because that makes life so much easier. It makes things actually able to flow to you because you're open to receiving good energy, you're putting out good energy, and we're all mirrors of each other. So whatever you're giving out, like you're receiving back. Why would we want to be putting out bad to then receive back? Like, we all want to be in like a happier state, and you also want to leave people better off than when you found them, like wherever you go, no matter who it is. So writing out statements like, what am I afraid of? What do I need to release? And seeing what comes up for you. It might be different day to day. And what is really great about this is once you've done it a few times, you find you're not having to write as much in your notepad, but it's just one of the most powerful exercises and something that I come back to, and also just calms your nervous system if you do find that you get in those stressy states and feel like you have to outsource your regulation to numbing yourself. Have you ever ever notice when you release control? So for example, I was trying to force my period back. I was tracking my week temperature measurements. I was tracking everything, adding so much mental stress, like 24 hours a day thinking about how am I going to get my health back? Like without my period, I'm so unhealthy right now, you know, like this was a while back. And literally the minute that I totally forgot about my period came back in on a random Saturday morning when I'd had the most stressful week of my life and hadn't ticked all my boxes. It came back then. And how many times has that happened when you have been obsessed with a person, put them on a pedestal that they never needed to be on a pedestal? The only person that needs to be on a pedestal in your mind is yourself. You need to value yourself enough to have someone else be able to value you, because if you don't value yourself, no one else can respect you. And again, people are just mirrors to what we're not giving ourselves. Like looking at situations like that, it's a life changer and will just open up your world in so many different ways. So actually integrating new energy. These are basically what is in your toolbox. Imagine you've got this metaphorical toolbox of things that keep you in the best state of mind. But it's not about being like happy or sad. It's about maintaining your frequency so that you're peaceful, because that is the most important thing. It's not to feel high or low, it's just to feel peaceful within yourself. And what tools do you need to use day to day that keep you in that state? It's usually eating well, eating nourishing meals with protein, carbs, fats, moving, getting outside, connecting with people day to day, but knowing your unique toolbox and what is the bare minimum. Meditation is such a huge one for me. It helps with just managing my mind, keeping myself not quiet, but keeping myself in tune with my inner voice, with my inner self, and not like running off wild with my thoughts. And no doubt you also have a very busy mind if you're watching this video, and just brings me back to my center, connects me to something deeper than myself. And then practices like journaling. For me, I need to keep these things very, very short, and I do this with my flowy girlies where we have live journaling sessions and meditations. We do it all together. If you are starting out and feel like, oh God, I wouldn't even know where to begin with meditation or journaling, or it seems a bit woo for you, I've got you. But whatever it is that you need to keep your energy balanced, that is what you need to do every single day, making that time for yourself, because that means that your energy you're not just like pouring it out onto other people when you haven't even got energy from yourself. Like you can't, it's just that like having a cup of water. You need to be able to have water to pour out rather than have it trying to pour from an empty cup, you know? How many times have you, say, chased after a business opportunity? Like I've had it with collaborations before. I've really wanted to work with a brand and they've come back with an offer that I wasn't happy with. I've ended up working with them for a rate that I wasn't happy with, and that just starts off on the wrong energy. And then you're doing work where you're feeling a little bit of that mistrust in yourself, that resentment, feeling like you're not valued. Whereas when you know what you bring to the table, who you are as a person, how much you pour into things when you feel that things are right, it's like totally different energy. That's when you actually stop abandoning yourself. So if you're also a people pleaser and finding it hard to even know what you like, what you dislike, and find it hard to just say, I actually don't like this isn't my style of music that I want to listen to. Say if you're driving your car and you're always like, oh, what music do you like? What do you want to eat? Even though you might not even like Italian food. Like that is going to help with your relationship so much more, because no one really wants someone like, I'm always a bit wary if someone is like a yes person and just anything I say they're like yes. Like I always find they're scary people, because you know that they're not going to like everything you like. So you're much better knowing yourself, being able to set boundaries, because you're doing yourself a disservice if you're going into your friendships, your romantic relationships, and not speaking your truth, not sharing your likes or dislikes, and then you wonder why you end up in the same scenarios or not treated in a way that you feel like you deserve because you are not giving that to yourself. And I always think you need to do the inner work if you are finding the same things, because people are only ever going to mirror your energy. And looking at every single relationship like that and think, how can I hold more space for myself? How can I look at what is causing my traumas, or like what are your wounds that need looking at, addressing, and then obviously putting that into practice. And I think journaling, meditating, like building self-trust and building self-respect, so treating yourself in a way that you know you want to be treated, so that then someone else can only ever add or match you where you're at. Like if you're not treating yourself, like you can't expect someone else to treat you in a way that you're not even treating yourself. And you are so high value, you're so worthy of everything that you desire. All it's about is just aligning your actions, and that all comes from within, getting your worth from yourself, because when you value yourself, that can never be taken away. Whereas if you're only getting your worthiness, your validation from external people, from scenarios, from a career, it comes and goes. Like, people come and go in your life, scenarios, cities, places, everything is changing, but the one constant is you. You've always got you, you've always got that relationship with yourself. So if you can cultivate a better relationship with yourself, like, think how much that's going to open up your entire life. And then when you've stopped attaching your worth to an outcome, you start feeling so much more grounded in the process, like actually relaxed, because you know you're good without anything else. Like, and then what does come into your life is only going to add to your life, because they're matching you where you're already at. And then the right people, the right coaches, the right opportunities show up when you're ready for them, not when you choose them. If this resonates and you feel like you're ready to rebuild your life from flow, not force, everything that helped me is in my upcoming bundle, which is launching on the 17th of November. So this is my brand new recipe ebook with 50 recipes that are going to really help with getting you feeling really, really good from the inside out. They're all balanced, and everything starts from within, like what you're putting into your body, what you're consuming in your mind. And this is a starter pack for finding your flow. So it has got all the tools that you will need from the Flowness Club, which I've put together in this Get Back and Flow bundle. And these are the exact practices that have helped me to surrender control, to find more balance with not only my nutrition, my training, my mindset, and everything is so connected. Like, you can't address one without the other, and that will really help you to step back into alignment again. You'll be able to register your interest in the top line of this video's description. I also wanted to just say thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself. You've absolutely got this. It's just one day, one step at a time, and not attaching to outcomes, but attaching to yourself every day. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Lots and lots of love.